previously on Understanding a Man.
But I wanted to kind of shut it down because I was like, we're going to go like an hour and a half on this one.
Gotcha.
But honestly, this was a moment where of movement from a Holy Spirit perspective. I don't know, where your faith might finally rest in that area.
I believe in Jesus. I believe he rose on the third day. I believe that in my Heavenly Father. I mean, I didn't even get to some of the things that have been deposited in me with him. I mean, especially when it comes to relationships and our relationship with the Creator. And the fact is that
always feel free to drop those in because I sprinkle them in. I don't Bible beat, but I'm gonna sprinkle them in. I can't not.
Yeah, and because it's funny, but when we were in that being authentic and knowing yourself. Well, man, the Heavenly Father says, man, I'm the Lord and I change not. I am God. I am that I am. And so if we want to have, now granted, his love for us always stays consistent. He gives us mercies daily. However, though, in order for us to sup with him and to have fellowship in a way that it is so beneficial to us, we have to raise our level of who we are to meet him where he's at. And the thing is that when we don't do that, also because he never comes down to us. He always is looking for us to come to him. Why? Because he is the standard. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't know who we are. And so because we don't know who we are, we just go along with so many different ideas, quips, whims, or anything like that. Oh, maybe we should try an open relationship now. So that's the standard now. No, it's not the standard. That's never been your standard. But you're just going along just for the sake of a relationship. And I just always parallel it. I try my best to parallel it back to the relationship that the Creator has with his creation.
You know what? Since you already led on in, you know what?
James Bush discussing divorce.
We already in part 2 episode of Understanding a Man. We're actually sitting here talking about divorce inside of COVID, and I have a special guest with me here. And y'all have to go back and listen to part 1, Mr. Bombs that Mr. James Bush dropped. But I want to take a moment and just say, thank you so much for joining the Understanding a Man podcast today, Mr. Bush. Normally my co-host Alexis and Charles, they out and about shaking and moving today. But if you want to just take a moment and just share with the individuals who you are, where you're from, and how can people find you because the topic is already hot. So I just want to touch on that, and then we got to get back to the hot time. So let them know who you are.
My name is James Bush. I operate Bush Counseling Services. I was in the state of Tennessee. I'm directly in the Middle Tennessee area. I host the Mind of a Man podcast. I love what I'm doing. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I did go to school for it, and I travailed and did what I need to do to get that degree so I can better serve my community.
Oh, man, and thank you so much for just being out here, shaking and moving and doing that. And so, just working with the community in multiple capacities. So I want to encourage individuals that if you are looking for a counselor being right before you, this is being presented to you, and you were just kind of going into the portions of dealing with inside of this divorce space that's what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I want to bring to the table, I want to bring 2 aspects today.
Okay.
One dealing with maybe why that you are there. In this space, right? Why are you in a divorce space, right? And also maybe some of the things that in dealing, if you actually happen to go through it, some of the things that you can anticipate going through, we can say. And then you talked about we talked about this in the last episode or whatever. One of the questions that you ask people is that, what does it look, basically in so many words, what does it look like since you're saying that you want a divorce? Kids, the assets, the expenses, whatever the case may be.
Right.
I want to take that thought and I want to kind of move forward into here because one of the questions I do ask people is that, why are you here? And sometimes, a lot of times people talk about being broken, in a certain space. And so I want to ask you, what's the reason why that your Creator would break you to the point with regard to your marriage?
Well, I mean,
what is? Oh no! I was just saying that hypothetically to throw that. I know you got your. Well, I'm
okay. Go ahead. Keep going.
Because perhaps you're being brought to a moment, brought to your knees, brought into isolation, brought to this level of brokenness because your Creator's trying to show you something. Your Creator's trying to shift you. Perhaps maybe God is actually using your spouse to push you in a certain direction. Okay, maybe it's to recalibrate something. Doesn't mean that you might happen to leave. Maybe you guys recalibrate and stay. Maybe there's a recalibrate and go. Who knows? But just understand that let's stop looking at the problem of the fact of the divorce, and let's start asking ourselves, why am I here? What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. I think that sometimes we are in those spaces for us to grow. I mean, it talks about man as man, the bush and the plant, man, as he's pruning it so that it can grow even more. And so sometimes in our lives, we have these moments where we've gotten as far as we're going to get, going the route that we're going to go.
Right.
Granted, in the natural, now living back in the natural, that does not mean automatically there will be a divorce or so like that. But what it sometimes can indicate is that there is a need to look at certain areas of the relationship. It's a need to look at certain areas of that individual so that more growth, more usefulness can come from that plant, from that being, from that relationship, from that situation. Because sometimes it's like, you know, you can't, you only, I mean, it's one of those spots where as much as you've been in a space, as much as you've been able to kind of operate in that capacity, once you have gone to that spot where it's like, oh, I've seen this other side of life. I've seen this other side of torment, situations, heartache. You know, I've got this other piece of information. Now I can go back and I can inform other individuals who will believe me, who will say that, he know what he's talking about. Because guess what? I had that thought yesterday.
Right.
And that is a whole lot different than you just standing behind a rostrum for Latin or a podium, you know, saying, thus saith this, thus saith that, because now it's more relatable, it's more personable. And now people can kind of identify with what you are saying intimately.
You know what? That is so hard to look at, you know, how should you be growing? And because, you know, the first way that people always say that they want to grow is, you know, we like, you know, what could you learn from the situation? They're just like, don't make dumb choices in picking people. No, because you're putting it on the other person again. You know what I'm saying? They'd love to go there, or think better next time before something that's shade towards the other person, right?
Right.
So, you know, and it's hard to look at yourself when the other person is perhaps in your mind, the other person is participating in actions that make you say, that's the reason why they were here, because of what you did. How am I really supposed to kind of look at myself, you know, in this moment of understanding why am I here?
Well, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna get personal with it. When I first had my divorce, I had the blame game going. I had fingers pointed. I said, this person did this. The big finger was wagging. And like my coach in basketball, you tell me, every time you point a finger, you have a bunch of fingers pointing right back at you. Right. It wasn't until later on in my journey or so, after counseling, after a quiet time or so, that I was able to figure out, you know what, maybe that person did do those things. But there is some autonomy. There is not necessarily blame, but there are some red lights that I ran in this situation myself. There are some things that I didn't do that I needed to do better, that I needed to grow in. And again, it's all about growth, because it's all about being able to, in this day and time, in this life, be the best version of yourself so that you can squeeze every ounce of potential out of who you are. That is what I believe the Creator has for all of us. And so in order to get us to that place, sometimes things do happen. And so what I realized is that I wasn't my most authentic self. I wasn't assertive enough. You know, I rested on ideas of what I thought a marriage contained and presented, as opposed to what it needed to. And granted, now we can go and do things in that form and it ends even quicker. We may not get to that year or 10 year or 15 years. It might end in 2 years. But guess what? When you are being who you are, when you're being your most authentic self, you are teaching people how to treat you in that moment. And when you are doing that, as a powerful individual. And so sometimes these things are necessary. But it takes time and it takes, man, humility to say, okay, there was some stuff that I didn't do. There was some things that I didn't get when I was younger. And I'm not going to go and blame mom. I'm not going to blame dad. I'm not going to blame society or anything like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take ownership of it and say, yeah, that didn't happen. One of the biggest things that I'm going to go out there and put out there for me, and I've seen for a lot of brothers, I didn't know how to love a woman. I specifically did not know how to love the woman that I was married to. She
raise his hand. Hey, I'm raising my hand with you. Raise his hand.
Hey, look, she had.
But I think I think that's. I want to rest there just for 10 seconds because I'm so thankful for your transparency there, because a lot of men won't admit that. You know, a lot of. But here's the thing: it's not. I don't think that it's just for men; it's for women too. We really don't know how to love each other.
Right. We don't. Yeah.
We don't. We walk into this relationship loving the way we loved the last one. Right. There's a whole nother person with a whole nother brain.
Right.
And so I totally understand that, Pete. I'm sorry. I want to rest there because I want people to understand. If anybody is there, understand that it's not okay, but it is okay, right? It's not okay because you need to work through it, right? But it is okay because there's many of us out here, we never really learned how to love another person.
You know, it's one of those things where I rested on, I mean, it's crazy to be honest with you. I looked at more ideas of what a guy is and what guys do. And so instead of looking at this vessel who I am joined to and seeing what are they needing, you know, what moves them. Now, there is a lot of time invested in that process. You know, you have to communicate, you know, you have to observe, you have to ask questions. Guess what? You have to be vulnerable. And so sometimes us coming out of the 80s and 90s, man, pretty much NWA, we were like, man, look, we not doing that. As far as we like, look, you know, I'm going to say, I never have, I never will. You know what I mean? It's like, hell never without the blue nose. But anyway, I'm not going, as I digress, my point is that being vulnerable in those spaces helps create the opportunity for you to be that man or that lady that your partner is needing. But in order, because again, I think I wanted you to comment on it. We are wired differently. And that was one of the biggest things that I had to realize. Is that men and women, as a therapist, I knew it, but I did not use it in practicality. Men and women are wired differently. We receive stimuli and information differently. So it's hitting her differently than it's hitting you. And it's not saying that it's hitting her wrong, not saying it's hitting you wrong, but the understanding that goes along in that moment can go a long way. And so now when I am going and I am reading the manual of how to operate and how to work with her, or so I'm going from a strong point that says, okay, now just because I don't do this, but I know that you do this. So I'm going to speak your language. I'm going to minister into you how you like to receive love, how you like to receive encouragement, how you like to receive whatever love language it is that you operate upon. And then that's where it goes. And then it becomes less of a selfish act to more of a selfless act.
And I like that part. And, you know, one of the things that we want to make sure we highlight in this initial portion is that, you know, of you understanding why you're here. Perhaps, you know, your creator has figured out that your levels of communication are horrible. And if you improve those levels of, some people's communication is horrible, right? And so if you improve that level of communication, watch this, you'll actually grow in your gift, or operating inside of your talent.
Yes.
Raise his hand, okay? So, you know, it's different aspects that can exist in there of why you are here. But here's the thing, don't waste a lesson. Because even though you might have been in this situation for 15 years, 2 years, 10 years, whatever case it be, all of this was a lesson. It was for something. And what will help reduce, I'm not going to say it's going to eliminate, what can help reduce the level of anxiety and frustration that you have is to keep reverting back to what can I do better? How can I grow through this situation? Because at worst case, you walk away from the person, but you've grown. Now you're better actually for the next person, right? So the reason why that you might be in this space is not because you just need to do better picking. It might need to be that, you need to do better from a communication perspective. It might need to be better because you need to work on improving your finances. It might, because finances is the number 2 reason for divorce. Okay. So it might be because, when it comes to understanding from an intimacy perspective, right? That, maybe there's some areas there that you might want to work on. Maybe it's because, I don't know, there's a generational curse that exists in your family. You never even look back down the line and say, wait a minute, everybody's divorced in my family. So that's called a generational curse. So maybe it was for you to realize that and harness that, so that maybe whether you can grow through it now or not, you help protect your offspring from being in that situation, right? To understand that this curse is coming down the line, right? And, I think that, God can take us to this place sometimes. I don't want to stay too much on the spiritual aspects of it, but I can't move off of that because I know that sometimes we move to this space and it's for a reason. And instead of us figuring out the reason, we jump right back into other relationships and do the same thing again.
It's funny you say that because, in your opening statement, you mentioned about what divorce looks like. And so coming out of a divorce, sometimes when you are not as informed about who you are yourself, when you don't understand necessarily what has happened and some of your own hangups or so, then you get somewhat of a cyclical nature of dating possibly the same person over and over and over and over again. So then you start dating the person that was your fantasy. You date the person, oh gosh. And so you date the person who maybe,
do you have any testimonials there, James? That's all right. Let's say that one for later.
So you date the person who was your fantasy. So who you just like, yeah, okay. I like to say, AKA, everything that you didn't receive.
Hold on, James, real quick. You were fading a little bit. I don't know if you moved away from your mic or whatever. It looked like it's fading. It was fading for a second. Okay, now go ahead.
So everything that you didn't receive in your respective relationship, sometimes you can go and you have a tendency to gravitate towards. So if there was a person who didn't have a lot of sex in your last relationship, maybe you're trying to go find you a porn star or an escort or a stripper or so like that. If it was a person who didn't have a lot of money, now you're going to go and try to find somebody who's a CEO of IBM or the CEO of Whataburger or whatever have not.
Ooh, that's so strong.
If it's a person that they
not Whataburger.
Whataburger make money, bro.
I know they do, but it's all the fast food chains you said that outside. Go ahead.
Whataburger make money, bro.
They do. They're still up and running. You right.
They make money now. If it was a person who didn't have a lot of emotional support, you go out looking to seek individuals who have that. Or in my favorite, my last one, if the person that you were in a relationship was very abrasive, very brutish, they had a mouth on them, man, that rival sailors or so like that, you possibly look for individuals who maybe is not abrasive, who may be a little bit more timid or so. The issue in all of that is that now you have taken a stance or a direction or an approach that is not, I want to say, fulfilling. What do I mean by that? So in this spot, you are taking somebody who their strong set and strong points are to be not as abrasive, to not be as harsh, to not be as I guess gaslighting or grenade launching towards you in the relationship. But however, there may be other areas that you also look for in life, in a mate, in a partner that you're looking for that is not there.
And you kind of going into some of the I guess the aftermath of once you're in this divorce space, right? And trying to get back out there, whatever case may be, or making sure that you're not dating the wrong person or whatever. And so we look at that. They said there's like 6 stages of divorce, and I know that we don't have time maybe to touch on all of them, but I do want to touch on one because one of 2 or 3 to talk about, because sometimes that we're in denial. Right? Stage 1, denial. And you're in denial not only some people got their paperwork on table and they're still in denial. Some people haven't filed paperwork and they're in denial. Some people, the paperwork is already signed and they're in denial, right? And they have not accepted, you know, and I know acceptance is the last phase or whatever, but the
Yes.
first being denial, whatever. But when you talk to your clients about that aspect of it, or even maybe something that you've experienced, what are your thoughts about that?
Well,
And
Well,
you know what?
well-
You know what? Let's go here, particularly if you can go in this area.
Okay.
The denial while you're still married.
the
So
denial-
y'all ain't filed no paperwork, but
Right.
you in denial of what's really going on. How would you speak? Because you got some people that's out there right now with this COVID thing going on. They're in that space. They're just in denial. Y'all are done. Ain't nobody filed yet. What are your thoughts?
Well, one of the things is that I feel like sometimes in some situations, there's a couple of different situations, but in one I'm thinking about in particular off the top of my head, it's like getting hit with a Tyson two-piece. You did not see it coming. I mean, and it just pretty much leveled you. You did not prepare for this. You don't know where the kids are going to be afterwards. You don't know about your financial situation, your mental and emotional standpoint, depending on what all you got going on. Because guess what? Just because you're in a divorce doesn't mean that life is not happening all around you. If you got mama in them, if you got daddy in them, and if they got some type of medical illnesses, or if they got COVID themselves or so like that, that's an issue, that's a stressor, that's a problem or something like that. So again, there's all these things that are colliding at one point.
Right.
And then you have the actual divorce itself. That denial or so is somewhat dangerous because now your emotional state is all over the place.
Right.
Trusted friendships and social groups or so like that. I'm not saying that they are there to remedy the situation, but they are support systems that can help you in this time of need. Why? Because some of the decisions that you may make in that moment don't need to be made.
Right.
And so guess what? A decision. Well, guess what, bro? Guess what, Craig? Man, she filed for. She said she's gonna file for. She said she's gonna leave me, man. I'm gonna tell you what, man. Let me do this. I'm gonna go and buy that car she always wanted. Or man, I'm gonna go and let's go take that trip that she always wanted. Let's go to this place. Let's go there. I'm gonna give her everything.
And that's gonna save everything.
And that's gonna be the that's gonna save everything in life. Like no.
Listen, when I play this back, I'm gonna put a buzzer sound right there for that. That's not it.
That is not it.
But no, go ahead though.
That is not what's going. So you go in this spot where there's another place or where that is in those 6 stages where it's called bargaining or so like that.
Bargaining. That's stage 4. Yeah.
Where you're trying to go and do things to kind of help remedy the situation and try to play catch up and try to put the Band-Aid on the bloody gash that your relationship is.
You know what? Let's stay here. Let's stay here for a second.
Okay.
Because that bargaining area, a lot of times, sometimes people are trying to just change themselves. And maybe for good reason, right? But remember what we said earlier, right? Was it this episode or the last one when I was talking about how long it might take for somebody to actually make a complete 360? It's like the cruise ship turning around. Okay, they go to counseling on Monday. Okay, on Tuesday, you're getting love bombed your head off, right? And Wednesday and the Wednesday of the next week and maybe even the next week. But guess what? That person is, I can guarantee you this, that person is going to backslide. You are going to backslide because you've created all these bad habits for so long. And so now you're like in that bargaining phase of, okay, maybe if I just change this and change that, lose this weight or, get this job or sex the person like this, now the person's going to stay. Could they? Actually, yes. But understand that in that space, it's going to take a while to sift through that. It's not something that's going to happen in 30 days. I haven't seen it yet. Not saying that it can't. Just saying that, it's probably not. So I'm glad that you brought that part up because we go from, okay, this is not, I don't even know where I'm at and I'm just in denial of it to, okay, well, I'm just going to make this change and, we're just going to magically, deliciously just turn around. And these are real phases that people go into.
Right.
One of the things that you also said I want to touch on real quickly is that, even in the decision-making process, you were talking about emotions, which contrasting emotions is also another phase that people go through. right? And so your emotions are going up and down, and you're thinking about, what do you do wrong and how I failed or whatever case may be. Talk to me about, about that real feeling that you talk with your clients
Man,
about the emotions.
I tell my fellas, man, that come to me and they have these conversations. I said, be careful of feeding the beast that was within you, the beast that wants to go and check phone records, the beast that wants to go and look at emails and passwords and look to see what your partner is doing in that moment.
Ooh, that's strong. Yeah, yeah.
If you hinge on that type of behavior, you are doing something that is dangerous for yourself.
Right.
What you have to understand is that you can't control another individual. They have made their decision. They're going to do what they're going to do. So what at that point, you need to do what you need to do for you. One is to check your emotions. I'm gonna tell you a story real quick.
Okay, come on.
I had a guy who I was in church one morning. Yes, I do attend
Okay.
regular church services, so especially when COVID is not in it.
Right.
I was in church and I had my phone on me, and I rarely ever keep it on, but I kept it on that day. And if this client of mine, he was going through something such as a divorce. What happened? He caught his wife, man, pretty much, man, in the upside down V. No, a right side V in a movie theater parking lot with another guy. And so they had said that they were going to get a divorce.
Okay.
Now, my client comes to me and he calls me and he says, man, we're working on it. Now, on that Sunday, he called me out the blue. He said, James, I'm going to go over this guy's house because I think I need to have a conversation with him about what is taking place. I need to tell his wife that he is not a good person or something. That is absolutely the thing you don't do.
I need to tell. So he was gonna. So that's scandalous. So he was gonna. His joint was already jacked up, and he wanted to go over the other man's house and tell his wife that this dude isn't a. Come on, man.
I said, look, if you do that, if you do that, there is a high probability of chance you will be wearing shiny bracelets.
I was about to say somebody's going somewhere, and it's not him. It might be. It might be them. You know what I'm saying?
It's not the move you want to make. It's not the move you want to make.
No.
It's not the move you want. I understand you're upset. One thing is that also, too, is that we can't deny how we are truly feeling. We can't suppress our emotions in that moment. We have to be honest with ourselves. And as we're being honest with ourselves, we understand that what we're possibly ready for and what we're not ready for in those moments. So if I am all keyed up, if I am basically, man, livid with the situation, I do not need to be around individuals who can trigger me even the more. I may need some time for myself. I may need some time away from the person that's possibly divorcing me, because every time I'm looking at you, I really want to do something. Guess what? That is a reality, fellas. That's something that does happen. But what I will tell you is you take the necessary time and separate with you and let the anger dissipate and start working on yourself and allow yourself to transition through these different stages, through these different moments. I promise you, it will not feel the same always.
Come on, dissipate. You want to come in with the vocabulary workshop. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah.
But one of the things I like you just said about being in the moment of the emotions. And I think that that's something, whether you're a man or a woman, but particularly I want to talk to my men really quickly because a lot of times the emotions of a woman, they've been walking lock and step in a better understanding of their emotions versus us. You know what I'm saying? And so, whether it's a cry, whether that it's the pain, whether you feel wounded or whatever case it be, understand that it doesn't make you less of a man of being in that space, right? But you need to exist in the moment and actually feel the emotion and work through it. Don't deny the emotion, because it's almost like suppressing it. And you can actually come from a clinical perspective, James, but I want to share that portion because sometimes as men, we more deny it. We feel that feeling of, I miss her, or, I really, maybe you want to even stay in the game and stay in the match, whatever it is that that emotion comes on you, and you might beat yourself up, or you might, you might drug it up too much. You might drink it up too much. You might, do something to try to suppress that feeling, that emotion. talk to. Can you share some light on that part of the emotions from a man perspective and being in that moment and working through it?
One thing that I try to tell my clients is I use this statement: suppressing how I feel won't make my feelings go away. Acting like the problem doesn't exist won't make it disappear. It is important, fellas, for us, man, to be present and to be cognizant of where we are in this time.
Can you repeat that? No. I think please repeat that one more time because I need us as men to understand that.
Okay, it says suppressing how I feel won't make my feelings go away, and acting like the problem doesn't exist won't make it disappear. And so there's two dualities that are taking place at that point. One is the ability to understand what is taking place within me.
Right.
We gotta be honest. We gotta be honest with ourselves.
Right.
We gotta call it. It's like when your football coach told you missed that tackle, you missed that pass, or something like that. That happened.
Right.
It's not an anomaly. No, it happened. So like
right.
that. We got to be honest with ourselves what's going on. But there's also the other side, and the other portion of that is saying that there is a problem. Guess what? Us continuing to go down this road in this manner is not going to help that problem.
Right.
So there has to be a change. I love what Bill Belichick, the New England Patriots coach, says, is that if you wait till halftime to make game changes, you've already lost.
Ooh, that's real.
A lot of us have waited past halftime. As Elam would say, we waited till it's 2 minutes before the end of the fourth quarter to try to go and do something about it. Guess what? That is very, very, very hard to try to do something with. So what we have to do is acknowledge what is going on with side of us. Where are we at? What is taking place? What do we need right now? Because that's our next question. What am I needing right now? Do I need a drink? Probably not. Do I need to smoke? Probably not. Do I need another woman? Do I need 6 different women? Do I need to go and have that threesome that I always wanted to have? That's not going to do a lot for you. That's 30 minutes or so.
That's the way that we think.
I mean, a lot of time we think like that. I mean, hey,
that's real.
We were just like, man, maybe I should just go and just have an orgy right now. Why?
Right.
Because I feel like I need that type of companionship.
Well, no, let's rest there because a lot of times men feel like that they just go and just bone a bunch of women or whatever that's gonna get you out. Like it's not, bro. It's not.
Right. But see, again, it's like something I was telling you earlier is that when you go from a setting of where you're in a relationship, you have someone where you know where they are. It's like, okay, yeah, we beefing right now, but I know you in the other room, or man, I know basically, man, you in the kitchen, or man, she, man, upstairs or downstairs or whatnot. And then when you have these settings and there's more separation, there is a lack of companionship, a lack of availability. And then there's a lack sometimes of loneliness that sets in for the brother. Yes. So what do? They try to fill those spaces with these distractions and these things that they believe that will make them feel better. Guess what? When the gal comes to your room or the hotel room, or no, the women come to your hotel room or so like that. And after y'all are finished doing what you are doing, guess what? They're going to leave. That's just, man, a given. That is a promise. They will take whatever they are going to take if you're paying them, and they are going to leave. And so now you are still stuck as a man in a room by himself, looking at himself, with himself, with his thoughts, with his ideas, with what has just happened in the last 30 days of my life, what has just happened in my marriage or so like that. I am broken. And so these are some of the things that we said, that's not the case. So what do? We go and we put together people, a team of individuals who can help support you, who can help uplift you in that moment, who will be there to tell you, hey, look, you messing up right now, Doc. You wild, you hurt. And I know guys, and because I'm gonna say, for me, when I had my brother telling me, he said, you hurting right now, man. You hurting. And I'm like, I'm hurting now, right? I'm like, you get the hell away from me like that. But look, they knew how to reach me. They knew how to have those conversations with me. There wasn't Bible beating. There wasn't browbeating. What they were doing was they were saying, hey, look, you in a different space right now. You out here wilding, and I understand you doing your thing, but be careful. Or so, and they would drop little hints along the way. It's like, hey, look, you want to go out? Let's go out, man. Let's go get something. Let's go get a drink or something. Let's do something, anything like that. Because those individuals showed me that they actually care for me. And they would go and they would minister to me, not necessarily what thus saith the Lord, but they would say things along the lines, well, you know what, man, I'm gonna tell you the truth. In this situation, the way it was going along, that was going to be disastrous.
So as you're in this space right here, I want you to stay right there. So how important do you think is it for men to unlock, and I want to say this correctly, because a lot of times as men, we can concede and go into isolation because we're kind of built to be alone, but we don't like to be alone, right? But it's hard for me to, I don't know if I want to share that level of emotion with James. I don't know whether I want to say, hey, dude, let's go grab a drink because I got to cry real quick and I got to talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? How important would you say it is to have, a village around you, an educated village around you? And when I say education, I don't mean curriculum wise. I mean somebody that can actually, like you said, how your friends are doing you. How important is that?
I think it's very important. I think about back to different kings, because now everybody, they want to call, well, not everybody, that's an absolute, but many want to refer to us as kings. I love it. And so when you think of a kingship, you think of the court and, the advisors that he has around him, those who are informed to kind of help him make the decisions for the land. And so now you got, as you are a king, who do you have in your court? Who do you have that is around you that can help you navigate these different situations? So, I mean, and sometimes you got to remember, in a court, you have a joker, somebody who's up to no good, who just says, hey, look.
Yo, you had to say that right when I took a sip of my beverage. I was about to spit out. He said, you will have a joker. Okay.
They will tell you flat out, it's like, hey, look, let's go out to the Dominican, man, for about a week, man, and let you go do your thing, bro.
Come on, joker.
They're going to say that, and you have to be prepared. But then you'll have other individuals say, hey, look, man, chill out, man. Chill out. Before we go and make all kind of life-altering decisions, life-altering things, let's get back to basics of who you are. Before you were in this situation, this is who you are. This is how you were operating. You were the man, the father, the king, the businessman, the worker, the confidant. You were a lot of these different things and so like that. Now, granted, you can't fill all those roles right now because you are actively going through those things, but you have other men around you that you can lean on and to support you in those moments. And so again, it's very important that you don't isolate yourself from that. Now, also too, there's something that men really have a problem with that I believe. It's called vulnerability. Being able to be open and share within you what is actually taking place. Saying that, look, man, I'm hurt, man. I am broken like this. Guess what, man? I actually still love my wife. I love her. And I am jacked up about this situation. That is important, to find people that you trust that are in your corner that you can do that with. If you don't have them, fellas, or you don't have them, sisters, man, you need to check, man, your circle.
And here's the thing, a lot of times that pain of that emotion, for some people, because when men don't understand something, with the number one thing, I call it rage. I call it the 3 R's: rage, reason, or run. That's what a man does so men, even when you're dealing with yourself, you also do this inside of your emotions. You rage, which means you just get mad. And obviously you're going to throw shade and blame towards your spouse, whatever case it be. This is, you mad, right? And that might make you react. Or you run, meaning you shut down, suppress, push it to the side, only to have what we talked about earlier, for it to pop back out, or for you, you're going to have to deal with it at some point. But the space that we want to get to is reason, right? And your reason might be, like you just said, with regard to your vulnerability of speaking with, somebody that you can counsel up. Let me share that portion with men. Counsel up. Don't counsel on the same level. Counsel up to somebody that like your partners that was talking to you, like, dude, what is you doing? Or dude, you're hurt right now. Even though you didn't like it, because you counseled up, you might not have liked it at 6 o'clock when you heard it, but like 9:30, you were like, yeah, I'm tripping. I am hurt. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny, right? It's funny you said that, because again, the quality of individuals that you have in your life, I mean, they have a time where they can be humorous and they can also, man, tell you something love. And man, so then all of a sudden you're starting to get vulnerable and stuff like that. And what I'm gonna say, damn, James, that's a lot of soul ties you running through right now. I'm like, yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah, some of that's a quick little shade, quick little dagger, like, oh, yeah, dog, you getting it, but that's a lot of soul ties. You all right, bro?
You run it through right now. So you say to yourself, all right, man, I gotta do better. I got.
Right. I like that. I
gotta chill out. Again, if anybody that is going to be anything in this world and that's going to remain in that place, you have to have informed individuals around you to help you. If you do not have that, I suggest you strongly to reevaluate your circle. Why are the people in your life the way they are? I like it with Jay-Z, and he has this group of people that are around him.
Mm-hmm.
There's an idea that someone wants to approach Jay-Z with. There are different levels, checks and balances that look at that idea before it actually gets to him. And so you have to go, who do you have amongst you, especially in these catastrophic times, that can, man, help you through those moments? Who says, okay, hey, look, check this out. We going out, man, to the golf and driving range. I got you. You know, we're gonna just go, man, go work out. We're gonna put in the weights right now. We're gonna go, we're gonna try to, man, read something. We're gonna go out there, we're gonna have lunch or anything like that. We're gonna go and do things that guys do together or so like that make guys. So for lunch or so like that, yeah, we go to the driving range. Right. Like they got places where they serve lunch and everything. You go, you hit a couple balls or something, and you talk and you get it off your chest, and then you move on with your day.
Or they might go to Magic City, you know what I'm saying? Because the wings are good. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do. I heard the wings are good in there. Hey, listen, we're talking to Mr. James Bush, and you know, we don't have to roll it. Listen, this is a topic that we can probably take through the end of the year, whatever case it be. It's definitely we're gonna table some things into the next episode, because we're gonna I think my co-host will be able to join in, Mr. Charles James, whatever case may be, of you know, just from a male perspective, some of the emotions that we're going through and some of the things that we can, you know, walk through from in the latter area. And I know, honestly, let me say this to y'all, okay? This is the end of part 2 of what's probably going to be a 3, 4, 5-part series. But honestly, James and I were going to come on here and we were going to talk about a completely different topic. And he actually started talking. And in the first 2 to 3 minutes, because I can understand how to walk inside of my gift, I knew where the Holy Spirit was going with this. And that's why we went this way. So I know that these episodes are going to bless so many people, just simply because this conversation really organically happened. We didn't even put this together. You know what I'm saying? And so, but James, you know, looking forward to speaking to you in our next episode, because we're going to have to stay inside this divorce space because so many people are experiencing it right now. And the goal is to help people walk through it, whether to keep you in and you recalibrate and reset, or, you know, that there's alternate decisions that need to be made, but you need to make sure that, you know, you do the due diligence within yourself while you're in this space. So James, tell them, how can they find you in the meantime?
Man, you can find me on IG at Bush Counseling, or you can look at my podcast at Mind of a Man Podcast is on IG, as well as you can find me on my website, bushcounselingservices.com. And you can also reach me via telephone, 615-229-6205, 615-229-6205. Email me, James at justjamesbush.com. My wonderful assistant, Kenya, she will definitely, man, get back to you.
All right. Any upcoming projects we should be on the lookout for you, sir?
Oh, man. I mean, definitely the Mind of a Man podcast. Every Wednesday, we're releasing new episodes on all kinds of topics related to guys. I'm diving deep into, you know, what makes us us and some things that we missed along the way, information on. I have something coming on as far as nutrition. I mean, a lot of guys, we work out, but we don't really talk about nutrition enough. I've got business, wealth class, business and entrepreneurship. What does that really mean for us? I mean, we've talked about domestic violence, how that affects families, you know, what is actually taking place. We've always heard about, you know, basically on the side of guys, you know, what we are doing on that. But for women, have a young lady who has went through that. She's a coach. She's phenomenal. Sarita, she's excellent. And she explains what that actually looks like on the other side. And I hope it'll bless you. And then also, too, God willing, next year, that is 2021, we got the first book coming out.
And listen, as we roll on out of here, y'all, I appreciate you for sharing that, James. Listen, you gotta connect up with somebody else from a mentorship perspective. And again, if you need to get the wings from Magic City, if that's a better way,
I'm coming in.
if that's a better way for you to come. Oh man, I'm just messing with y'all. I'm messing with you. I'm halfway messing with y'all. But we gonna come back, man.
Yeah, coming in.
I ain't messing with you, man. I'm out.
I write what I live. My life in the speaker.
Oh man.
Hey, Elam,
What up?
let me buzz and